Hey, just before the guide starts, I'd like to point out something with all the R2 challenges in this car. By default, this car has traction control set to 2, and for some strange reason it affects the car a lot and it makes it very slow on throttle when you're turning at all. So I'd highly recommend to come into your controls here and assign traction control decrease and increase settings, and then once you get back into the driver's seat, you can decrease the traction control on the bottom right there down to 0, and now you'll have a lot more potential than before. In some of these challenges I was losing 1 to 2 seconds just because of that, so I hope this helps you out. For the 5th and final R2 challenge, just like the other R2 challenges, we're going to be balancing the throttle about halfway in neutral and then upshifting to first as the lights go and then building the throttle up to 100% just to avoid some unnecessary wheel spin. For the first turn, we're moving towards the right side of the track and we're looking for the 50 board and the cones up ahead, braking about halfway between the two but closer to the 50 board, and then making sure that we don't touch the curb but getting very close to it, a bit of a later apex here, and then we're getting throttle around about halfway through the turn, bringing the car to the outside, avoiding the grass, and from here on it's very similar to the very first challenge. We're going up the hill and we're thinking about the next turn, which is an uphill turn and it's quite cambered, so there's a lot of grip. But most grip is on the inside line. If we go a bit wider than the inside line, we'll probably understeer and ruin our exit. And if we go too tight and touch the curb, it'll probably put us into a slide and it'll ultimately ruin our exit as well. So there's a very precise line here. Now for the braking point, we're looking out for where that cone is on the left and we're braking almost exactly where that cone is, starting on the outside, and we're going to carry a decent amount of speed into this turn here. So coming right next to the white line, and here we can get on throttle quite early near where that cone is on the inside there, or maybe just after it, hard on the throttle, bringing the car to the outside. There's a lot of grip through that turn. Just make sure you stay on that inside line. Now we're back to the right side of the track and we're looking for where the wall is, and we're going to apex right where that wall is, and then we're going to think about getting on the brakes about a car length after that apex and bringing the car towards the outside of the track here, using the brakes to balance the car on the edge of grip here. And we do want to carry a lot of speed into this turn because it is steep, there's a lot of camber, there's a lot of grip. Come all the way to the inside line, carrying a decent amount of speed up through here, and then at the apex we can start getting back on throttle hard, carrying our momentum all the way to the outside of the track, making sure we use all the track width to gain as much time as possible. Now to the left side of the track, getting right close to this yellow wall or green wall on the left side here, we're using that tree there as our turning reference, pulling away from the wall as we get to that tree, and we should have a nice clean line through there, quite close to the walls. This could be the most challenging part of the track. There's quite a specific line through here. We don't want to be all the way on the right, but a little bit closer to the middle, and then the track will start dipping down, and we want to commit to the turn as the track starts dipping down, start turning, because the tires will grip up as the track starts sloping up again. I didn't quite get the line perfect here. I came up to where the curb is and I actually rode over the curb. If you get a perfect line through there, you'll come close to the curb but not get onto it, and it's possible to go flat out through there. Here we're lifting at the second Pertec logo on the wall there, lifting off throttle and starting to turn in, and we should reach the white line around where that green arrow is, and then we can start getting back on throttle and using a little bit of this inside curb here. But be careful, if you do hit this curb at the wrong angle, it can actually flick you into a bit of a slide and even spin you out, so just keep that in mind. Using all the track once again, and back to the left side of the track, we're going to start lifting a few car lengths before that cone in the distance, preparing for this turn. We're going to come quite close to the wall here and start braking around about the apex here, just near the wall, and we want to try brake in the straightest line that we can. We will have to turn a bit, and then as we get to this curb, we're going to have to turn over this curb and lift off the brake a bit, and then once we get past the curb, start braking a bit more there, and then we can carry some speed around this wall on the right. Looking for where that curb ends on the right there, starting to get on the brakes once more, just a little bit to cut off a little bit extra speed, and then as we fall down into that dipper, we can get hard on throttle again. There's plenty of grip. We should be able to go flat out through here until this point where we're looking for the cone again. Around this cone, you want to lift off throttle and coast into this bend, but we also want to get on the brakes just a little bit through that curve to slow us down a bit. And once we're straight aiming down the hill here, we can get harder on the brakes to slow us down for this tight turn. More in the middle of the track and then bringing it in tight to the inside where that green arrow is. And look out for where that wall steps up a bit. At that point is our apex, and we can think about getting back on throttle at that point. Just make sure if you carried a bit extra speed in, be a bit later on throttle. You don't want to get on throttle too early there, or you'll end up in the wall on exit. Now we head down Cottonwood Straight. From this point forward, it's going to be quite similar to the R4 challenge, except this time I think we're going to be carrying a little bit more speed down the straight. So we might have to brake just a little bit earlier than the R4 challenge. At this point, we're looking out to the tarmac on the left of the white line there. We're going to put our left side wheels over there just to open up our entry line slightly for this bend, and that'll straighten us up for our braking point. We're looking out for where the 150 board is and the cones are, and braking very close to where where the 150 board is, just after it, hard on the brakes. And similar to the R4 challenge, we're aiming to tuck in around the curb without getting onto the curb, because that thing will unstabilize you and ultimately ruin your exit. So as close as you can to the curb and get on throttle shortly after the apex there, using all the width of the track through here. And now we head down to the final turn, where we have a similar situation as the R4 challenge. We're looking for the 100 board and braking just after that on the outside of the track. And once again, we're aiming to go around the curb, having a later apex, mid to late apex, without getting onto the curb, because again, that thing will unstabilize the car and you don't want that. Using all the width of the track here, carrying our momentum out to the outside curb without getting onto the grass, and now we're flat up to the line. And just one more tip, like the other full lap challenges, don't hit those orange fences right there that we just went past, because they are solid and will stop you right where you are. I do think the finish line's a little bit before those fences, so you might be fine, but just keep that in mind. Thank you for watching the guide, I hope it's helped you out. I'm going to play through the whole run again without any interruptions, and I will see you guys again soon.